Hi, it's Dr. Hannes Dreyer, founder of the Wealth Creators University, where only results matter. And in this specific lesson, I'd like to give you feedback on the explosive growth mentoring and want to show you the results of that mentoring. But at the same time, I'd like to give you a quick lesson. Now, in life, we're going to find that we've actually got only two choices. And the one is you can work for your money, and the second one then is to learn how to let your money work for you. Those are the two choices. So if we want to get to an outcome, that's basically what we're going to do. We can either work for our money and hope that we're going to get there, or we can learn how to let our money work for us. And the difference between the two is easy. Let's take a goal. And the way that I want to do it is to say that in 10 years time from now, I've got a surplus of 1,000 Rand, and that surplus must grow to 10 million. Now, why 10 million? The reason is simple. I actually want 30,000 Rand passive income today. So if I can get a 30,000 passive income today, indexed with inflation, that will be the equivalent of approximately 10 million worth of, let's call it property. And I'm going to make certain assumptions. I'll tell you about the assumptions just now, but that is what we need to get. So if I've got 1,000 Rand surplus, the question is, how hard must the surplus work for me? And the first thing that we need to know is if you're going to break the formula for riches, in other words, you're going to give your money to someone else, hoping that they're going to make you rich, I think you can work on, at best, approximately 18.67. That was the best unit trust here in South Africa, unfortunately, almost a year ago. That's the latest figures that I've got, 30 April 2016, over a 10-year period. In other words, 10 years from now, that's what I want, and this is the growth that we're going to get. By the way, the JSE All Share Index, only 12.83%, and about 97% of all the fund managers in South Africa. At that stage, the last time that I'd looked, there was 789 funds, and only about 3.3% of them could outperform consistently over a 10-year period the JSE All Share Index. So if we take the 18.67% and we assume that you grow your money at that, then let's quickly have a look at the difference between the two. So 1,000 Rand at 18.67% over a 10-year term will be 345,000. We know that is not going to be enough, because unless we've got 10 million, we won't be able to give ourselves, in today's value, a passive income of 30,000 Rand per month, indexed with inflation. So what is the only variable? Well, we can't change the term, because we know that is when we want it. The 10 million stays the 10 million, because we can't change that unless we're going to have that and buy a property, as an example, cash. We won't be able to get the index of income. And the third thing is, we do not have more than 1,000 Rand per month. So the only variable that can change is basically the growth. So the question then is, what growth must we get? And that is 64.58%. So the moment that we know how to get 64.58% sorted, 10 years from now, we'll have the cash, even if we start with 1,000 Rand per month. It's that simple. So the second alternative then is for you to work for your money. So how much, if you want 10 million and you're only going to get 18.67%, how much money must you put into this fund so that someone else is going to manage that and can manage that for you, so that you can get to your goal? And that is a cool 28,937 Rand and 46 cents. So those are the alternatives. So either we can learn how to do it ourselves, or we can trust someone else. We make the money, we take the responsibility to make the money, give the responsibility over to someone else that says that they can do it. And by the way, we see that they actually don't know how to do it. So those are the alternatives. So let's go and have a look at some of the graphs to try to explain to you. So if I'm buying a property today, cash, for 3.855 million Rands, and that property gives me 30,000 Rand, and this is hypothetical, we can do a lot better than that, but we can also do a lot worse than that. That is the case, and we say that that is then what we call the intrinsic value of the property, and that intrinsic value grows at 10%, compounded over the next 10 years. We'll see that that property then will be worth 10 million in 10 years time from now. Now, which simply means that at any stage during that phase, if we buy on that red line and we've got the cash, to buy that property cash, it means that in today's value, we're going to sit with 30,000 Rand per month income. So what's the first alternative? And that is that someone else is going to work on our behalf. And if we invest 1,000 Rand at 18.67%, we'll only sit with 345,000 Rand. Now, the difference between the 10 million and the 345,000 Rand, that's a problem. I hope that you can see that. Now, how can we overcome this problem? Well, there's one way to overcome the problem, and that is to throw money at the problem. So, as I've said, if you earn an additional, or you put in an additional 28,937 Rands and 46 cents per month, we'll see that at 18.67% in 10 years' time, you'll have the 10 million. But the problem is you do not have the 28,000 Rand. So, what now? Well, there is another solution that you can have, and the solution is simply to know how to get 64%. So you can see that in the beginning it looks like nothing is happening simply because you start building the skills, and then eventually start with this exponential curve where within 10 years time you'll have the 10 million at 64.58%. But there's something else that we can do. Now, up to here, when we look at property, it is possible with property. If you've got a little bit advanced skills regarding property, the way that we teach at the Property Pro investment, on the Property Pro investment system, it is not too difficult to get to that. But the moment that you want to shorten the term, now something is going to happen, because now I need, the only way that I'll be able to do that is to increase my competency. So what growth, if I want to do it within a 5-year term? Well, then I need to take the growth up from 64 to 139% in basics. That's what it means. In other words, on my 1,000 Rand per month investment, the compounded growth per year must be 139%. Now, this is where the trick starts. On the 64%, it is possible with advanced property knowledge to be able to do that. The moment that we start shortening the term to below 7 years, the property alone, the chances are that it's not going. You need additional skills, you need additional competency, and this is where the business side comes in. So the moment that we combine the business side and the investment side, that is when it is possible to get to 139% and more per year, on condition that we understand the levels and on condition that we improve our skill levels. But there's something else that we can do. What if we want to do it within a, let's say, a 2-year period? Then, well, then we need to get a 435.81% compounded growth on our 1,000 Rand investment. And simply by doing that, we will also be there. So the question that I had many years ago when I started was, why on earth do I want to work for 40 years if I can speed up the process by understanding and gaining the competency, and spend like 6 months or a year to learn the competency, and then be able to accelerate this whole process whereby I can retire in a lot shorter period of time, which is exactly what I did. Now, in the beginning, when I started, it took me 5 years just to find a solution. Then it took me another 7 years simply because I did not really understand it and I had to figure this out. So it took me a long time. But once you've got the competency, once you're at the level 6 from a CEO's point of view, and you've got the competency in terms of the business and the investment side, then it's actually a damn easy and very straightforward thing. So there's another way that we can have a look at this. And this is simply what I'm doing at the moment in the Explosive Growth Mentoring. So in the Explosive Growth Mentoring, I said, but if you've got the competency, because you've got the skill and all the skills can be learned, and you've got 5 cents, and you apply the formula for riches, and you use the wealth creator strategy, the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk, then it is possible within a 2-year period to be financially free and get more than 30,000 Rand passive income in today's value, or whenever you start, right? Now, there's a lot of assumptions here, but the assumption is that you are a wealth creator and that you do have the skills, the business as well as the investment skills. So what growth must I get on my investment? Well, the growth that I must get if I invest 5 cents over a 2-year period will simply be 965,827% compounded growth on my 5 cents investment. And the moment that I do that, I know that I'll be able to get to 4.6 million. Now, I actually took up the challenge in June. That was when that manager said that there's this doctor that says that he can take 40 cents and turn it into $1 million in less than a year, and that was the trigger. So the moment that my friend told me about the story, I sent out to my database that I'll start with 5 cents. I'll turn the 5 cents within a year in more than R1 million, and then I'll take the million and I'll grow it to 4.5. Actually, the goal will be to get to 4.6 million, and then in the process buy 1 or 2 or 3 properties, or just one, that's going to give me in real term, when I started, a 30,000 Rand per month passive income, basically index for the rest of my life. Now, let me give you some feedback. So today, it's 313 days that we're in this challenge, which simply means it's in the 44th week, and we're about 10 months into this challenge. And we've already bought the first property like a couple of weeks ago for 1,767,000 Rand. We've spent approximately another just over 80,000 Rand on the property, and the income that we're getting from that property is 21,000, just over 21,000 Rand per month. Right, now I've already reported back on that. Unfortunately, the deeds office takes approximately, they say, about 3 months before we'll have the title deed. And as soon as I've got the title deed, I'll show you the title deed, which means that I had to buy that property cash. In other words, I could not go to the bank, and I didn't go to the bank or any other institution for that money. It's simply this growth that I had on the 5 cents that I took in order to buy that specific property. Now, that property, of course, is worth a lot more than what I've paid for it, because the way that I teach you in the Property Pro investment system is that you look for the income, you don't look for the capital. The capital is a phantom concept. It is manipulated by the market, by market sentiment, and for that reason I do not look at that. So that is the basis. So if I want to get then from where I am to where I want to be within the next year, well, a little bit more than a year and 2 months, it means that I'll need to grow the 1.7 to at least, and with at least approximately another 3 million to get to 4.6 million in 2 years' time. And that's the goal. Unless I know how to buy better properties. In other words, structure the deal so that I can get to 30,000 Rand without having to pay, let's say, 4.6 million. And that, by the way, is very simple. If you've done the Property Pro investment system and you understand how it works, it's really not difficult to be able to do it. So I thought to give you a little bit feedback on what we're doing. Now, you're welcome to go to Facebook and look for Explosive Growth. From time to time I post stuff there, but you're also welcome to ask me any questions regarding that. And of course, I know there's a lot of people that's going to say this is bullshit. I will give you audited financials on this whole challenge so that you can see that it's not bullshit. But what we need to do, what you need to do, is to change your mindset. Because unless you learn and understand and know that you have to learn the skills, and that these skills are not difficult to learn, but you have to put in the time and the effort in order to learn it, to understand it, then you'll be able to do it. Otherwise, something like this will be absolutely, totally impossible. And the question then is, are you serious? Do you want to learn it? If you don't want to learn it, well, that's fine, no problem with that. If you want to learn it, tell me that you want to do it. A good place maybe to start with the Explosive Growth Mentoring. It's really, that's where on a week-to-week basis I'm giving feedback. I'm telling you what I'm doing, but there's also valuable lessons that I'm sharing with you, plus a lot of bonuses. You are more than welcome. Maybe give me a feedback on this. I can direct you to a page or to a webinar where I'll explain all of this, but that is 100% up to you. I hope that you've learned something. Perhaps tell me what it is that you've learned, and share this with me, and then we can share it with the group as well. And then, of course, I will see you in the next Wealth Insights lesson.